Welcome to the Air Defence BOS lesson. In this lesson, you'll examine AD BOS concept definitions, employment considerations, ADC2, AD weapon systems, active and passive control measures, sighting considerations, and AD BOS expectations. This lesson will provide you with the information you need to assist you in the management of enemy aircraft engagement and fratricide avoidance. The AD BOS includes all systems and personnel designed to nullify or reduce the effectiveness of attack by hostile aircraft and missiles. In other words, it involves the interception, engagement, destruction, and neutralization of enemy tactical aircraft and missiles in flight. The effective employment of AD resources in war depends on an accurate assessment of the air threat. The air threat can comprise any enemy air weapon platform, regardless of its configuration or task. Air defence is guided by three considerations: denial, attrition, and intelligence. The employment of AD weapons is generally based on the application of denial and/or attrition defence. Denial is the protection of specific ground targets from damage or destruction by direct attack. Attrition is the process of destroying or damaging enemy air weapon platforms in an effort to reduce their offensive capacity. To maximize the effectiveness and efficiency of AD implementation, the following considerations should be adhered to when planning AD tasks: mutual support, all-round defence, defence in depth, early engagement, and weighted defence. Mutual support is a consideration whereby AD weapons and their associated alerting and cueing devices must be sighted in mutually supporting positions so that they may engage an air weapon platform when it attacks a neighbouring position. All-round defence is the consideration whereby the AD is positioned to deal with attacks from all directions, since attack air weapon platforms can be positioned at any point in space for an attack. Defence in depth is the consideration whereby hostile air weapon platforms must be engaged the moment they come within range of the AD weapons. Successive engagement must continue until the air weapon platforms are destroyed or beyond the capability of the defence. To achieve this outcome, while ensuring the highest possible kill probability, weapons need to be sighted to achieve depth. Early engagement is the consideration whereby the engagement and destruction of hostile air weapon platforms occurs prior to their laser warning receiver. Because of the variety of both air-to-ground weapons and the methods of attack used by air weapon platforms, it's difficult to specify rules for the sighting of AD weapons to achieve the consideration of early engagement. Weighted defence is the consideration whereby likely targets or specific vital points in an area defence are given particular emphasis to ensure their denial to the enemy. Op Command represents the highest authority under which AD units can be assigned to the commander of a joint operation. A commander granted Op Command over assigned resources may reassign forces away from his own force, specify missions and tasks as he deems appropriate, assign separate employment of components of assigned units, and delegate Op Command or a lesser degree of authority to a subordinate commander. OpCon is more limited than Op Command and implies that the commander from another service, formation or unit has the authority to issue orders to the AD assets for a specific task. In general, OpCon implies the task will be limited in terms of location and/or time. The commander from another service, formation or unit will issue orders relating to the task, including orders which will result in movement and deployment, but detailed implementation is the responsibility of the AD unit commander. The commander from another service, formation or unit is not authorized to assign individual tasks to specific components of the AD concerned, and all aspects of administration remain an Army responsibility unless otherwise directed. TAC-CON is a level of authority not commonly used when assigning AD assets. TAC-CON is even more limited than OPCON. It covers the local direction of an asset in such a way that it assists in the accomplishment of a mission or task. TAC-CON of a critical part of a mission may be assigned to a commander who is best qualified to control the mission by virtue of his knowledge of the operation. The employment of AD weapons may be performed by three primary methods. They include positive control, procedural control, and the combination method. Positive control is a system of control exercised when good communications exist, permitting AD weapons to respond to the real-time movements of hostile and friendly aircraft. Positive control permits the commander to react to the rapidly changing circumstances of the air battle. Procedural control is a system of prearranged control exercised by the issue of directives, standard operating procedures, and rules of engagement which dictate the conditions under which fire is to be withheld or engagements permitted. The combination method is a combination of both positive control and procedural control.
Target low.
In most cases, Rapier has an integral surveillance radar, as well as a tracking and prediction system which permits it to be autonomous if required. It's common that low-flying targets can appear without the weapon receiving any prior warning from the relevant control and reporting organisation. The major limitation of Rapier is its maximum effective range. Consequently, a large number of weapons are required to protect a relatively small area. The relevant statistics of Rapier are displayed on screen. The RBS-70 ground-based air defence weapon system is a man-portable system with three components: a tripod stand, sight and missile tube. The guidance system is optical and the operator guides the laser beam riding missile onto the target. A clip-on night device can be attached, and each RBS-70 troop has a very low-level air defence weapon systems alerting and queuing systems, VACS. The VACS uses a P-star alerting radar to cue the missile systems of the 5 launchers onto the target. The relevant statistics of the RBS-70 are displayed on screen. Active AD measures are designed to destroy enemy aircraft and include the use of friendly aircraft, AD weapon systems, and small arms in the all-arms air defence role. The aims of the all-arms air defence role are to provide a deterrent to attack and reduce accuracy of weapons delivery, have a positive effect on the morale of ground troops, and force air weapon platforms to fly at greater altitudes where they may be engaged more readily by specialist AD weapons. Passive AD measures are the primary means of defence available to all units due to the limited number of specialist AD weapons and the limited range effect of all-arms air defence. Passive AD measures are designed to minimise a unit's chance of detection by enemy aircraft and minimise casualties and damage caused by enemy air action. Passive measures include sighting, dispersion, concealment, field defences, and hardening, deception, operating and moving at night or in bad weather, control of movement, warning systems, smoke, and radiation emission control measures. AD assets can provide point defence, route defence, area defence including airfield defence, mobile defence, and AD ambush. However, at the formation level, only point, route, and area defences are utilised. Point defence is used to protect a vital point, such as a unit, headquarters, or installation which occupies a relatively small area, approximately 1 square kilometre. For point defence layouts to be effective, detachments must be deployed so that threat attack profiles can be engaged by at least 2 detachments before the line of weapon release. Furthermore, sufficient mutual support and defence in depth is provided to engage a multiple attack against the defence. For a point defence task, the best combination of sites must be selected, with compromises between early engagement and mutual support made as the tactical situation demands. As a general rule, the primary task of RBS 70 is to provide point defence. As a minimum, 1 troop of RBS 70 is utilised to defend 1 vital point. From the vital point, the minimum distance at which fire units can be sighted is 250 metres. The maximum distance at which the fire units can be sighted is 3,000 metres. The line of weapon release for attacking aircraft is generally between the minimum and maximum sighting distances. The mutual support distance between fire units is calculated according to the speed of the attacking aircraft. The 2 methods that Rapier can be used to conduct route defence are defending along the route or incorporating the defence in an area defence. The minimum requirement is usually a battery, 12 fire units for 24 kilometres of route. With the exception of those at each end of the route, fire units should be deployed either side of the route at 3-kilometre intervals and offset from the route by 1 to 1.5 kilometres. Each end of the route should be covered by 2 fire units. A battery is the smallest unit for the task. It can protect 29 kilometres of route, or with the use of VACs, up to 40 kilometres of route. With the exception of those at each end of the route, fire units should be deployed either side of the route at 3-kilometre intervals and offset from the route by 1 to 1.5 kilometres. Each end of the route should be covered by 2 fire units. If the RBS 70s are deployed with VACs, the fire units should be deployed either side of the route at 5-kilometre intervals and offset from the route by 2 to 2.5 kilometres. In planning area defences, consideration must be given to the shape of the area to be defended, especially when protecting airfields. Within an area defence, the additional defence of certain vital points may have to be considered. This applies especially to airfield defence, where aircraft, fuel or ammunition points may require additional protection. Because of its capability against crossing targets, Rapier is ideally suited for use in area defence. The number of fire units used in an area defence should not be any smaller than a battery. If 2 batteries are utilised within 8 kilometres of each other, there may be a need to coordinate their area defences. The sighting of Rapier fire units and the associated mutual support distance is primarily dependent on what the dimensions are of the area to be defended. When all fire units are utilised, mutual support is maximised. Area defence is a secondary task for RBS-70. The characteristics of the RBS-70 weapon system give it a limited capability against crossing targets and make it generally less suitable as an area defence weapon. If 2 batteries are utilised within 8 kilometres of each other, there may be a need to coordinate their area defences. Ideally, mutual support occurs through detailed sighting that enables at least 3 fire units to effectively engage any target. The sighting of the RBS-70 fire units and the associated mutual support distance is primarily dependent on what the dimensions are of the area to be defended. When all fire units are utilised, mutual support is maximised. You'll be expected to demonstrate an ability to prioritise friendly assets or critical areas that require air defence coverage. You'll also be expected to appropriately allocate air defence tasks depending on whether area, route or point defence is required. Finally, you'll be required to identify the likely threat target and air avenues of approach for a given situation. You've just completed the AD BOS lesson. In this lesson you examined AD definitions, AD employment considerations, AD C2, AD weapons, active and passive control measures for AD, and AD sighting considerations. Remember, the AD BOS is one component of the overall AD system which is coordinated at the highest level. You also need to remember the fact that airspace management is critical for engagement of enemy aircraft and the avoidance of fratricide.